Alrighty, y'all. This video is my effort to help you be able to choose the appropriate load on any movement where you have to do a single or AKA a top set of a single at a specific RPE. Let's say you're asked to do a single at an RPE 7. Okay. This video is my effort to help you to choose the appropriate load, and then also on occasion to calibrate your assessment of that RPE on the singles through basically doing an AMRAP with that particular load. Okay. So usually the easiest way to do that is go ahead and do your single. And then with that same load, either on another day or after a good rest, the same day, rep that out and see if you did actually have as many repetitions in reserve as you thought that you had. That's what I did on this particular day here. And as we go through, I'm going to go ahead and assess not only this lift, but then another lift before we complete this video. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and let's talk about RPE, right? And here on the left, we've got kind of the repetitions in reserve in the traditional table that we see in, all of the auto regulation, publications and things like that. And then over here on the right, we've got kind of a table that I created to help you choose the load for a specific RPE when you need to do a single at that RPE. Okay. So first of all, let me just go ahead and pause this video right here. Okay. So we can just kind of talk about this real quick. First of all, how did I come up with this little table over here on the right? So if you think about the easiest one to assess, an RPE 10, RPE 9.5, right? If you think about that, in both cases, that's a 1 RM because it's 0 repetitions in reserve. And a 9.5 and a 10 are basically the same thing in that they are 0 repetitions in reserve, right? It's just that 9.5, either A, you could have done a little bit more load, or B, you're just not sure. It's a 9.5 because I think I might have had another one, but I'm not sure. Okay. And then likewise, as you work on down the line, when you're trying to do one more repetition for sure, whether it's a 9 or an 8.5, right? An 8.5 and a 9 are basically the same thing. The difference is the 8.5 is one more repetition in reserve, but you just don't know if you have a chance at, if you have 2 reps in reserve. So therefore, with an RPE 9, you need to use a 2 rep max load, because if it's a true 2 rep max, you're going to get the single and you're going to have 1 rep in reserve, right? Likewise, if you need a single at an RPE of 8 or a single at an RPE of 7.5, remember those are the same in that it's 2 repetitions in reserve for sure, but a 7.5 is 2 repetitions in reserve for sure, but maybe 3. Chance at 3. Don't really know. In both cases, you need to use a 3 rep max, because with a 3 rep max, you're not getting 4. It is a true 3 rep max. If you're using that load, you're going to get the single, and then you've got 2 reps in reserve for sure. Okay. So there is basically the assessment of RPE kind of in a nutshell. Do the load that you think that is to the RPE that you have programmed, and then either on the same day or on a different day, okay, do that same load for an AMRAP and see if it is a true 1 RM, 2 RM, etc. Okay. So here we go. On this particular day, I needed to do a single at an RPE 7.5, right? Remember, 7.5 and an 8 are same thing. There's 2 reps in reserve for sure, but the 7.5, I'm not too sure, right? I might have 3 reps in reserve, but let's do the single. I go ahead, descend, pay attention to the speed. Yeah, maybe it slowed down there a little bit. Rack it, okay. I think that was an 8. 7.5 is probably what I would have assessed it, because I'm never really sure. I use a lot of 0.5s, to be honest with you, because I'm never really sure. It's kind of a chance at 2. Different day. Come on in. Same load, all right? But let's rep this thing out. Let's AMRAP this thing and find out if this load is a true 3 rep max, and that single that I did was a true RPE of 8, right? There's number 3, kind of a little bit on the slow. Going to go ahead and try the 4th one. And No, I'm not going to do the fourth one, right? Failed. So basically that load was a 3 rep max. I did not get fourth. Okay. So that same load, if I'm going to do a single with that same load, that assessment of that single, that's a true RPE 8 because I've proven it. I've only got 2 reps in reserve. Okay. So hopefully that helps you to not only choose the appropriate load when you need to do a single at a specific RPE, but then it's a good idea on occasion to periodically just do a little audit, do a little assessment. Is my assessment of these RPEs, is it accurate? And that's a good way to kind of do that. So hopefully that helps y'all.